President Yoweri Museveni is a debate that never loses its deserving attention from Ugandans. With elections that could probably see an end to Museveni's long glorious reign, the question who could lead post-Yoweri Uganda is another exciting discussion that has been so hot among change-enthusiastic nationals. Politician Robert, known as Bobi Wine, a pop music star, has leapfrogged Dr. Besigye, who has been considered while referring to Museveni's potential fall from success. With the Uganda MP's Bobi Wine growing political influence over the last 2 years, Ugandan citizens are thinking of which transition should a youthful legislator pull a surprising success to eject Museveni, the most successful leader ever in Uganda. The following discussion attempts to give a probable picture into which changes would be effected by a Bobi Wine-led government away from the current situation. Number 1. Ejection of army from partisan politics. Following what transpired in Parliament during the 2017 age limit constitutional amendment, where members opposed to the amendment were physically molested by the military, and with Bobi Wine himself among the victims, it's a public secret that the military in politics is the last thing that he would wish to see in a government superintended over by himself. Besides mourning the loss of the battle against the amendment, the sight of his most trusted ally Francis Besigye barely struggling to breathe after some heavy punches from former Army Commander General Katumba Wamala, along with occasional threats from other we-went-to-the-bush generals such as General Eli, must all have convinced Bobi Wine that a militarized democracy is an evil that doesn't deserve to see the light of the day anytime after the current regime. Number 2. Introduce a federal system of governance. A known Mengo loyalist whose other nickname is Omubanda Wakabaka, loosely translated as the king's right-hand fixer, there is no doubt that he would introduce a federal system of administration as a way of appeasing the Kabaka of Uganda. By so doing, he would consolidate the support of the ethnic Uganda and win over those that could still be remembering his earlier altercation with the king over the Busbola land which Mengo had claimed in 2016. Affecting the presidential hopeful's hitherto good relationship with the kingdom. Number 3. Reinstate term limits. Even though Bobi Wine knows very well that this move doesn't benefit him as an individual because his best years are ahead of him, expected to turn only 39 years next year, he would most likely move to root for the return of constitutional term limits for the sake of acquiring legitimacy, which he will be very much desperate for after 35 years of the NRM government. Given the political turbulence Uganda has gone through and Museveni's goalpost shifting, Bobi Wine would want to make a difference. By so doing, he would very well know that he would appear as a defender of constitutionalism and rule of law. Number 4. Domination of power by people from the central region. As it is now, where Museveni's government has been accused of promoting the dominance of people from western Uganda at the expense of other regions, Bobi Wine's government would most likely meet the same fate. Just like the regime in power attributes the occurrence to the fact that most of the people that were at the forefront of the efforts that defeated the Obote government were Westerners, Bobi Wine's People Power Pressure Group is dominated by majorly people from within Uganda at the top, until of late when he appointed Mrs. Lina Zadriga from West Nile as his deputy. As anybody would expect, his immediate allies who incidentally hail from Uganda would definitely occupy important positions either by design or necessity. Number 5. Reduce the size of the cabinet. So often, Museveni has been ridiculed for having a very big cabinet as compared to some of his counterparts within the Great Lakes region and the African continent as a whole have. With about 80 ministers draining billions out of the often struggling economy, it wouldn't give Bobi Wine any troubles cutting it to less than a half. Number 6. Amending the Constitution, return 75 years age cap clause. If memory serves us well, the Kyagulanyi Ssentamu was an active protagonist for the retention of the age valve in the Constitution. Going a mile ahead to engage in fistfights on the floor of the House until he was finally defeated along with other MPs. Ever since that time, Bobi Wine has openly castigated the president for treating the Constitution with disrespect and abrogating it to suit his interests. Being less than 40 years of age, Bobi Wine wouldn't feel affected by this particular provision in the Constitution, since 75 would be over 35 years ahead. Number 7. There wouldn't be RDCs. An ardent student of long-time opposition chief Dr. Besigye, Bobi Wine has been listening to the former Museveni's chief physician specifically on anti-RDC sentiments. On numerous occasions, Besigye has made it clear that in a bid to cut down administrative costs, RDCs would have been his first victim had he succeeded on one of the 4 times he has attempted to unseat Museveni. Blamed for entrenching Musevenism according to members of opposition, RDCs would most likely have their appointments suspended immediately His Excellency Bobi Wine is announced president. Number 8. People Power would subsequently become a political party. Should Bobi Wine become the president of Uganda under his People Power pressure group, he would have made history as one of the few independents to win presidential elections on the African continent. That, however, would only be the beginning of the battle ahead, as he would without doubt have to serve without numbers in parliament. To be certain to run government with some ease, he would opt for alliances with other political parties with a considerable membership in the House, which would further complicate his work since they too would be harboring ambitions of taking over power from him. As such, the young head of state would move to organize his group into a better structured political organization to ensure cohesion and political belonging.
On behalf of the people of Uganda, I am challenging you to a free and fair election in 2021.